Welcome back. Welcome back. Had some stuff I had to take care of real quick, but I am back. We're just gonna finish getting into some hot topics, trending topics. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting the channel. Y'all know some days are for me are busy than other days, but I'll be taking care of my business. So like the videos, you guys come in. Let's see what we can get through as we finish up. Like the video as you guys come in. Like the video as you guys come in. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Let's see. Come on in. Come on in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. So let me get into my disclaimer, of course, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay. Like the video as you guys come in. Okay. All comments are alleged, period. Please hit the like button, period. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Yes, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back. I am back. So we're going to finish getting into everything that's being talked about in regards to the concerns that people have in regards to Trump, Maxwell, Epstein, just everything that's being talked about. So like the video as y'all come in. Appreciate you all for being here. Like the video.
Hacked into some computer systems that manage U.S. federal court documents. I wonder if you've seen this reporting and if you plan to bring it up with Putin when you see him later in the week.
I guess I could. Are you surprised? You know, he's surprised. What they do, they're good at it. We're good at it. We're actually better at it.
Hold on one second. Like the video. Like the video.
Victims of sexual abuse. And it's horrific in the sense that the statements he's making about this being a hoax, it just diminishes completely the Trump to the
personal lawyer. The politics of the case are causing real trouble for Trump, even with his own base. On Wednesday, J.D. Vance denied reports that a strategy meeting on the issue had been planned at his residence. And Trump, speaking in the Oval Office, once again sought to dismiss the whole scandal as a hoax and as BS. To dig into this, I'm glad to be joined by Barry Levine. Barry is the author of a definitive book on Epstein, The Spider, Inside the Criminal Web of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Barry, thanks for joining us. I want to start with an angle to all of this that I think has got a bit underplayed. We've heard so much recently about the Epstein list or the Epstein files, and those phrases suggest paperwork, which of course there is a lot of, and maybe that would be damning. But in your report, you've pointed out something else, which is that Epstein had secret cameras deployed in basically all his homes, and the government may have that as well. So tell us more about that and the potential significance of it.
Well, thanks for having me on. Listen, the cameras is certainly paramount to, understanding the criminality of Jeffrey Epstein's 2 decades of sex trafficking. What's interesting to me, as I reported in my book, The Spider, is that back in the early 90s, when Jeffrey Epstein was initially based in Palm Beach at his home there in Florida, he actually went to the Palm Beach police and told them that he suspected that some of his employees might have been stealing from him. So he asked the Palm Beach police, could they help him install secret video cameras in his home? And so the irony here is that Jeffrey Epstein initially had the help of local police to put in these secret cameras. Now, nobody was stealing from him. He wanted the cameras in his home so he could record his own sexual activities
Wow.
with these young women and children. But also, it's possible that these cameras may have recorded actions involving some of his wealthy friends
Wow.
and some of his victims. And to me, that is really the most disturbing. Now, we also know that Jeffrey Epstein not only had cameras in Palm Beach, but he had secret cameras at his homes in New York, here in Manhattan, his island, Little St. James in the Virgin Islands, his ranch in New Mexico, the Zorro Ranch, and I believe also his apartment that he had in Paris, France. So this was a man who was extensively taping what was going on in his life and in his crimes over the course of 2 decades. And where are those tapes? As I pointed out in a New York Times opinion piece last week, asking what's in the Epstein files that the government is holding back. Let us look at the evidence that shows that there were videotapes. I'm not saying that the public should actually see these very disturbing videos and the still images that Jeffrey Epstein had. But what I'm interested in is the FBI agents, did they attempt to look at this evidence and attempt to go after any other individuals who were seen on videotape? To me, that's the most interesting thing.
All right, this feels almost
Like the
illegal
video,
to know, but
fair use reaction clip. Don't forget to subscribe, you guys. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. Let's continue.
Epstein also, because of those cameras, would have enormous capability to have blackmailed or threatened people if other individuals were indeed caught in criminal actions on any of those cameras, right?
Yes, I mean, that's the other side of the equation here, is that Epstein, his whole life, he was a collector of people. He wanted, and he succeeded in the fact that he had friendships with a man who went on to become president twice now, Donald Trump. He had a friendship and relationship with former President Clinton. In fact, that relationship actually took place while Clinton was in office. We know for a fact that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell made more than a dozen visits to the White House and were entertained by Bill and Hillary Clinton. He knew heads of state. He knew the former Israeli prime minister. He knew Barack. He knew individuals, as have been reported, like Bill Gates. He knew famous scientists. He knew Harvard school executives. He knew governors and other political individuals, people from the celebrity world. Woody Allen was a close friend of his who attended parties at his home. So Jeffrey Epstein collected important people. Now, that's not to say that any of these individuals were involved in any criminality, them have been accused of any wrongdoing. However, there may be other individuals that may not be as famous as the ones I have mentioned, that also were wealthy people that might have been on the receiving end of some of the victimization involving the young women and children. And it's extremely important to understand, were there financial individuals that he was blackmailing to get additional funds from? We know of several wealthy billionaires who used Jeffrey Epstein for tax advice, for consultation, for financial services. Some of these men paid handsomely for that. Leon Black here in New York paid more than $160 million to Jeffrey Epstein. And we know that Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon has been going down the financial road. It's not to say that Mr. Black is accused of any type of wrongdoing and has, of course, denied any knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. But are there secret individuals that we don't know the names of that were being blackmailed by Jeffrey Epstein? That's super important to understand. And I would hope that if right individuals were able to look en masse at the 300 gigabytes of material, that's hundreds of thousands of pages in the FBI files, that it might take us down the road to some leads in terms of the possible apprehension of some other individuals.
Right.
All right, this feels almost illegal to know, but our win.
Like the video, fair use, reaction clip. Let's continue.
Individuals.
Right, right. Now, in relation to the element of this that is in the news at the moment, I mentioned the whole Ghislaine Maxwell aspect to this scandal just now. To cut to the chase, Barry, obviously there's a suspicion in some quarters that the Trump administration is seeking some kind of corrupt deal where she would be treated leniently in return for some kind of exculpatory testimony or information about Trump. Is that a reasonable suspicion to have in your opinion?
Well, listen, Ghislaine Maxwell had relationships, had friendships, not only with Donald Trump, back to the earliest days. She got to know Donald Trump in the late 1980s when Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, the press baron from Fleet Street, wanted to make an inroads into America and came to New York. And at one point, Donald Trump was interested in a Trump-branded magazine, and he got to know Ghislaine through her father. So their relationship goes back many decades. The same thing with President Clinton. She was a personal friend of Clinton's. She knows very, very powerful individuals, and I am very concerned as to the dynamic of her and President Trump, in the sense of the fact that we know that Donald Trump, when she was arrested for sex trafficking during his first term in office, never had anything bad to say about her. And it's interesting, does she know any embarrassing secrets about Donald Trump? I'm not necessarily saying there's wrongdoing, but does she know some things that in the light of day today would be uncomfortable if they came out? And as we know about how he treats his friends versus his enemies, she has certainly been in the friends category, and it greatly concerns me as to the leniency that she's presently being shown, because a sexual predator of her nature who has been convicted and sentenced to 20 years behind bars should not be moved to the absolute lowest level of a federal jail facility. That's completely wrong. And I know, having written my book on the spider and also spending years and years investigating this case, that those who are out there have actually been traumatized by the treatment that she's receiving now and the fear that she could eventually be pardoned or having her sentence lessened in some degree by the Justice Department.
Sure.
And this is something that's just horrible.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, everyone. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. Please hit the subscribe button. Continue to hit the like button. The likes should match the views. Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip.
That's an important point, and I want to return to that before we finish. But just on the issue of what Congress is doing right now, obviously it has made this effort to get the files from the Department of Justice, and there's also this issue of the depositions. Now, I know there's some controversy over the nature of the depositions and whether they're driven in a partisan fashion or not. But what is your level of optimism that we're going to get a greater level of information about all of this?
Well, I don't still understand why, after Donald Trump's administration and Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, had promised complete transparency with the proper redactions of victims and also third parties, why, after what the American public was promised, why those files are not forthcoming. But I am happy at this point, and let's just leave out all the politicizing from both sides of the aisle here. If the lawmakers can push now to get the Justice Department to examine those files, it would be a start. And I would hope that we could get information released that they could begin digging into, and also in a greater sense, have those files publicly made available, as I said, with the redactions, because we're owed that at this point. The victims are owed that, and certainly the Trump administration's promise to be the most transparent administration, it's important here to finally follow through with that.
Yeah, I think those are all important points. And, frankly, I think a lot of stuff around the whole Epstein matter kind of stinks. And I don't think that is dependent upon having a particular partisan political view or not. I've never been a fan of people being derided as conspiracy theorists over Epstein because there's so much that seems shady. But I did want to get back to that point you mentioned about the victims. And we did hear the president again yesterday seeming to diminish this, talking about it as a hoax, talking about it in more profane terms than that.
Yeah, because what about the victims? They're thinking she's serving her time, and now she's being transferred and getting work release. Excuse me, what?
And you mentioned the effect on Epstein's victims of minimization, whether it's those kind of comments or the possibility of Ghislaine Maxwell getting some form of clemency. How damaging or hurtful is that minimization process to the victims?
Like the video, fair use. Reaction clip. Like the video. Thanks for being here, everyone.
To the victims.
This is bringing up terrible memories of what they endured. We also have to remember, not only does it affect them, it affects their families as they've tried to move on in life from what happened to them in their childhoods that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell ruined, that can never be taken back. 3 of the victims have passed on. Recently, last April, Virginia Giuffre, who was his most vocal accuser, Jeffrey Epstein's most vocal accuser, took her life in Australia. This is someone who had been tortured her whole life, and still, despite the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell went to jail, Virginia ended up in a terrible state, and we lost her. And previous to that, there were 2 other victims who have passed on from accidental drug overdoses. One of the women, a very brave individual named Carolyn Adriano, actually was one of the 4 who testified against Ghislaine Maxwell at her trial here in New York and helped get her put behind bars. So for President Trump to diminish these victims, it's such a betrayal to the victims of sexual abuse. And it's horrific in the sense that the statements he's making about this being a hoax, that these files were written by Clinton or Comey, it just diminishes completely the experiences and the horrors that they suffered. And, it's just appalling in my belief that the president would be saying these things, knowing how traumatized these victims are.
Barry Levine, author of The Spy.
Really sad. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Like the video as you guys come in, and thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe. We're trying to hit 50K. If I can get all 174 to hit the subscribe button, today will be a great day in regards to people subscribing. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Please subscribe, and thank you. We're trying to hit 50K by next month.
Trump's name went out there and just lied for him, and now Trump is putting her in a minimum security prison and letting her leave. I mean, it's all the conspiracy theorists were already proven 100% correct. There's no way around it. So we'll talk about that. We also have Netanyahu admitting that his harshest critics from day one were also 100% correct. We have Trump picking this psychopath to be the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is basically an admission that he's going to rig the jobs numbers for the rest of his time in office. And look, now it's an open question: can we ever believe the jobs numbers? I mean, that's a real question now. And then later on, we'll also get to Trump demanding total control of the entire Smithsonian Museum. He's trying to lie about history, whitewash history, literally make it comport with his version of history. This is like being reported that that's what they said to the Smithsonian Museum. And then later on, we have Marjorie Taylor Greene and Laura Loomer absolutely going to war with each other. And man, those bitches are messy, dog. those bitches are messy. So we have all that and more. You guys know the drill. Everybody please subscribe to the channel. Everybody please like the video. Everybody support the show on Patreon. Sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. And of course, go support my boy Corin on the Corin's World YouTube channel. We do live Kyle and Corin episodes over there, usually Mondays at 8:30. We didn't do this week, so he was on vacation, but we'll be back next week. So definitely sign up for that. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive into it. So this is huge, man. This is huge. And this needs to be talked about a hell of a lot more than it is. But Ghislaine Maxwell is now cleared to leave prison on work release. So here's what they say. Convicted child sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell has reportedly been cleared to leave prison on work release. Podcast host Allison Gill obtained information about Maxwell's security score, sex offender waiver, and other details after the former partner of Jeffrey Epstein was moved to a minimum security prison in Texas. According to journalist Adam Klasfeld, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse raised questions about Maxwell's new prison accommodations in a letter to the director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons. The senator demanded to know if Maxwell received special treatment after with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, President Donald Trump's former personal attorney. Documents viewed by Gill indicate that Maxwell was given a 7.
Like the video, like the video. There's about 169 in the building. Please hit subscribe. Continue to hit the like button, everyone. Let's get the likes up. Can I get 50 people to double tap the screen to hit the like? It's the thumbs up above the video, below the video. The likes should match the views. Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip.
A security score. That's the highest possible because she was a sex offender and considered a danger to the community. So they say, quote, despite her score of 27, resulting in a minimum security level, BOP policy does not allow people with a sex offender PSF, public safety factor, to serve their sentences in minimum security facilities. Someone has to waive the PSF to make that move. Okay. Do you understand what's being said there? They're saying somebody who's convicted of what Ghislaine Maxwell is convicted of, in no way, shape, or form can they ever be sent to a minimum security prison because they're too much of a danger to the community. She was a child sex trafficker for crying out loud. So that means that the Trump regime literally waived her and said, we're going to allow this child sex trafficker to go to a minimum security prison. They changed her, basically like her danger level, to allow her to go to a minimum security prison where, and I'm not kidding about this, they do arts and crafts, they do yoga, they play bocce ball, they go on long walks, they watch movies together, it's more like a fucking summer camp than it is like an actual prison. And so now, she gets all those perks, but it actually gets worse. It actually gets worse. Ready for this? So they say, the documents also showed that Maxwell's custody level was set to out, allowing her to leave the prison to work. Gill explained that sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, Maxwell's associate, enjoyed the same ability to work outside prison after a sweetheart deal penned by attorney Alan Dershowitz and approved by Alex Acosta, who served under former President George W. Bush and Trump, still serving under Trump. I don't know how many of you guys have seen the documentaries on Jeffrey Epstein. There's one on Netflix. And in that one, he literally gets to leave whenever he wants. He gets to leave prison when he was in prison. He got to leave prison whenever he wants. He's not allowed to leave the country, but he would oftentimes get on his jet and leave the country and come back. He would only have to spend maybe a couple nights at the prison per week. It was a joke. It was like a camp for a guy like Jeffrey Epstein. So that's what it was for Epstein. Now, you have Ghislaine Maxwell getting the exact same treatment. Again, why? Why was she granted this sweetheart deal? Why was she granted this treatment? Well, the answer is simple. Trump wants Ghislaine to clear his name, and in return, she gets treats. She gets favors. And now the question is, will he take that final step? Look, to me, it's already case closed. That, we know there's a sweetheart deal going on. That's a fact. But the question is Trump going to go all the way? Is Trump eventually going to say, oh, we're pardoning her? We're pardoning her. We're going to let her out. And if he were to do that, my guess is he'd do that towards the end of his time in office, because it looks the earlier you do it, the sketchier it looks, right? He could do it and get out of Dodge, sort of like what Biden did pardoning Hunter and family members, right, on his way out. So will Trump go all the way? But look, I'll go out on a limb here and say he doesn't even necessarily have to. She already said some stuff that clears his name, lied for him, and now just the fact that she's at this minimum security prison and she can leave for work. I mean, this is total. She's basically not in prison anymore. She's not in prison. This is like this prison that she's at is like a fucking country club, right? And so she can leave most of the time, come back when she wants, do some hot yoga, go for a walk, watch some movies with her girlfriends. This is what it is. So absolutely insane. And it's all because our pedophile sex trafficking president stuff that we already know if you're bothering to pay attention, if you're bothering to follow the news and what comes out. And what blows my mind is that the mainstream media hasn't really taken advantage of the things we already know. Like, for example, Epstein being Trump's best friend for a decade, which he admitted on audio tape. Like, for example, the first time that Trump and Melania had sex, it was on the Lolita Express.
Allegedly.
Like, for example, that Jeffrey Epstein knew the inner workings of the first Trump White House. How the hell do you know that? Because he had moles in there, right? He had people in there who were giving him information, and of course, he was Mossad. I don't even know, people who even follow this story, I don't even know if they know that Trump and Epstein shared a girlfriend together.
Alleged.
That sounds fake, right? But it's not. They literally shared a girlfriend. Trump also wrote that creepy love letter to Epstein on his 50th birthday.
Alleged.
Saying, enigmas never age, and you and I have a lot in common, Jeff. Wink, wink. All this stuff, this is red flag after red flag. I mean, this is game, set, match in my mind. And then what we learned the other day is Trump offered Epstein a job in his first term. This is according to Epstein's butler of 18 years, who's got 1,000 pictures of himself with Epstein and himself with Bill Clinton and other people as well. So the wild thing is, like, he's making this corrupt deal with Maxwell, which everybody can see what it is, right? But he's also trying to hide stuff that, like, we already know if you're willing to dig deep enough, right? And this is just a failure of mainstream media and failure of Democratic politicians to seize on this stuff and make a big deal out of it. right? Like, I still can't get over the fact that we learned that Epstein learned human trafficking from Trump's modeling agency.
Allegedly.
Yes, that means the most prolific human trafficker, child sex trafficker, arguably in human history. This guy learned a lot of his tactics from Trump's teenage modeling agency, which was also just a front for human trafficking. I don't want you to take my word for any of this stuff. You can go look this stuff up yourself. And what you'll find very quickly is Trump has ties, of course, to Jean-Luc Brunel. Trump has ties to John Casablancas, Jeffrey Epstein, all these people, notorious pedophiles, and had their own modeling agencies and all these allegations against them. And by the way, some of these people also wound up dead in prison as well. Weird, right? Weird. Epstein himself and others tied to him wind up dead in prison in the exact same scenario. It's almost like they have a whole bunch of dirt that they could let out on people, but they're silenced before they can. But anyway, there you have it. And so look, it's already done. It's already over. All the speculation of, oh my God, Trump is going to make a sweetheart deal with Ghislaine and go easy on her in return for her lying and clearing his name. And it already happened. It's already here. It's already done. The only question remaining is, will Trump eventually go all the way? And will Trump eventually say, oh, I'm letting you out completely now? Because to me, I don't even know if he needs to do that. Because for all intents and purposes, based on this story here, she's out. She's out. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe.
Are y'all surprised she's on work? She gets work release? Like the videos, y'all come in.
Surrounding the decades that passed after JFK was assassinated on November 22nd, 1963. We kept waiting, as we are in this breaking story, for when we were going to get the truth about what happened to John F. Kennedy. However, we now sit on the precipice of waiting not only a couple of decades, not only 10 more years or 5 more years or Alex Acosta and Pam Bondi, but the truth on the Epstein file.
The Trump Justice Department and the Trump FBI said we did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. So,
and while we continue to be filibustered, promised, lied to, deferred, denied, and dismissed, Donald Trump is going to do every single thing he can to make sure that it never comes out. And in this breaking story, he is one step closer.
Richard Carlson, journalist and co-founder of Lift Our Voices. President Trump still refuses to categorically rule out a pardon for a convicted.
Like the video, like the video. There's about 157 in the building. Can I please get all 157 to hit the subscribe button? Please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. Thank you.
Trafficker sex.
Let's continue.
I think that is the biggest slap in the face to the survivors of everything else that I listed.
To making sure he never faces any consequence for that. And you're not going to want to miss this. I'm going to show it to you in a few seconds, because we have to understand what so far has been the claim of MAGA and the claim of Republicans about getting this out. Take a look at this.
That is, to your point earlier, normalizing the fact that it doesn't matter what she did.
Please realize, Gretchen is the anchor from Fox News who won $20 million suit against Roger Ailes. She's no BS on this.
The idea that would even be on the table for consideration, that is going to cross all party lines as the controversy over the Epstein files consumes Washington.
I don't even know what they're talking about. Release the damn files. Look, it makes no sense to me.
Oh yeah, they say they want it released.
Let's let the public decide. No, the Republicans want to release the Epstein files.
But additional evidence of the president's relationship with the now deceased convict is surfacing.
After Donald Trump's attorney general and Donald Trump's FBI director studied the Epstein files, and they put thousands of FBI agents to work studying the Epstein files to find, among other things, every mention of Donald Trump's name, they discovered that the case should just be closed.
There will be an insurrection if that happens. It won't just be Democrats. It'll be MAGA. It'll be independents. It will be everybody, because we are at a place in society right now where we know that child trafficking is a crime and that you should not be granted clemency or any release.
So will there be an insurrection? Will people really storm the gates if they don't release the Epstein files? Or, in this breaking story, if what has been done, the drip by drip for Ghislaine Maxwell, she's actually inches away from being let out of prison. Take a look at this story.
Ghislaine Maxwell cleared to leave prison on work release. Convicted child trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell has reportedly been cleared to leave prison on work release. Podcast host Allison Gill obtained information about Maxwell's security score, its offender waiver, and other details after the former partner of Jeffrey Epstein was moved to a minimum security prison in Texas. According to journalist Adam Glasveld, Senator from the White House, P. Reed, raised questions about Maxwell's new prison accommodations in a letter to the director of the Bureau of Prisons. The senator demanded to know if Maxwell received special treatment after meeting with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, President Donald Trump's former personal attorney. Documents viewed by Gill indicated that Maxwell was given a 7-point base security score, the highest possible because she is a offender and considered a danger to the community. Despite her score of 27 resulting in a minimum security level, our policy does not allow people with a offender PSF, public safety factor, to serve their sentences in minimum security facilities. Someone has to waive the PSF to make that move, Gill noted. The documents also show that Maxwell's custody was sent out, allowing her to leave the prison to work. Gill explained that offender Epstein, Maxwell's associate, enjoyed the same ability to work outside prison after a sweetheart deal penned by attorney Alan Dershowitz and approved by Alex Acosta, who served under former President George W. Bush and Trump.
So she's gone from a score of 7 to 27. Shouldn't even be there because of what she was convicted of, being an ex-trafficker and abuser, right? And now she goes from maximum security to club fed, and now she's on a work release program, which means she is one fingernail from being free. A free woman,
basically,
convicted for 20 years. The accomplice, the wingman, as it were, going out, jumping out of cars, and giving her card to high school girls who happen to be financially less fortunate. And she is about to walk No, this isn't assassinating the president, but there are hundreds, if not more, victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and that's why she went to prison. That's why Jeffrey mysteriously just happened to die in his cell, but the video didn't really quite seem to work out that day. And this president, who has nothing to hide, is going to make sure she skates. And Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, who handled it in Florida, and Alex Acosta, who's now in the cabinet, who gave a sweetheart deal to Jeffrey Epstein and shoved this aside and tried to bury it while in Florida, they're all going to make it go away. So I ask you, America, I'm going to use the line from Untouchables by Sean Connery. What are you prepared to do? You guys stay front.
Like the video, fair use, reaction clip. There's about 320 in the building. Please hit the subscribe button. We are trying to hit 50K by next month. Please hit the subscribe button, all 320, and thank you. Also, let's get the likes up. Can I get 100 people to double tap that screen to get the likes up, and thank you. 100 people to double tap that screen to hit the like, and thank you. Or hit the thumbs up above the video, below the video. Let's continue. Let's continue. So concerning. So concerning.
Including our next two guests. A federal judge has denied the Justice Department's bid to unseal grand jury transcripts from its investigation into Ghislaine Maxwell. But the DOJ's legal battle over the Epstein files is far from over. Several legal groups are now demanding answers from the administration, filing their own request to force the DOJ to release some of that information to the public, including our next two guests. Ambassador Norm Eisen, former special counsel and special assistant to President Obama. He's the founder and chair of the Democracy Defenders Fund. And Sky Perryman, president and CEO of Democracy Forward.
So, Norm, let's start with you. Your group submitted a series of FOIAs, which are Freedom of Information Act requests. And you are seeking the records on communications between top Department of Justice officials relating to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. You also, I mean, you're looking for things like how they decided to discuss it. I think this is where the rub is. Like, these grand jury transcripts, no. What was redacted? What documents was Donald Trump's name redacted from? How did you all talk about it? Was there an email chain where you discussed all of this? Perhaps because they don't know not to put it on the email. This is where we could really find out some information, I take it.
That's right, Simone. And we've done more than 10 of these FOIA requests in 3 tranches. The first set were from multiple agencies. We want the Trump-Epstein files. That's the communications between Trump and Epstein. The second set was for how those Trump-Epstein files were handled or buried and by whom. And then the third and most recent set was in response to requests from victims. We have one of the lawyers on our team who got the largest settlement for the victims, a 9-figure settlement. The victims want to know, why was Ghislaine Maxwell moved from a prison where she was being incarcerated for her serious crimes to a country club prison? That is not right. So we want all the information about that. And we intend to litigate this through as long as it takes information, because it's just wrong. It stinks to high heaven of a cover-up.
Sky, something I want you to help me understand, which is some of this is about, the Epstein files on its face. But I also wonder how much of it is about setting a predicate about a government that has to be transparent, a government that has to be responsive to FOIA requests, and a piece of this that is bigger than any specific case. What is the legal groundwork you're trying to lay here?
So that's exactly what we're doing at Democracy Forward. We filed the first case in federal court on Friday. We filed a motion today. We are in court to demand transparency. We want to know what the cover-up is. We want to know what the White House press office was saying to the Department of Justice and the FBI. We want to understand what this administration that has claimed to be the most transparent administration in history, but has turned over nothing and continues to delay. We want to understand what they're up to.
Let's get the likes up, you guys. There's about 269 in the building, and there's 35 likes. Can I please get 100 people to double tap that screen to hit the like button? If you're watching from a phone, press 1, or tablet, press 1. Please double tap that screen to get the likes up, and thank you.
So we filed requests. The Department of Justice failed in responding to those requests, and that's why we're in court.
What? I mean, do you have any confidence that you will prevail on the legal side of this with the judge?
We do. I mean, look, we are in federal court. It's an important case. This is a simple case. The law says what it says. The government hasn't complied, and we're in court to force that compliance. So we are very confident in this case and in the ability of the American people to demand transparency. It's unfortunate that we have to go to court to do this, right? I mean, this should be an administration that you don't have to go take them to court to force them to be transparent, but that's what we're doing.
Wow. Are y'all surprised that that's what they have to do to get the information? Where they do that at? So much is going on. So much. Like the videos, y'all come in. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you.
It's far from over. Several legal groups are now demanding answers from the administration, filing their own request to force the DOJ to release some of that information to the public, including our next two guests. Ambassador Norm Eisen, former special counsel and special assistant to President Obama. He's the founder and chair of the Democracy Defenders Fund. And Sky Perryman, president and CEO of Democracy Forward. A federal judge has issued a scathing rebuke of the Trump administration's efforts to unseal grand jury transcripts in the Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficking case. The Justice Department had been pushing for the release of the court materials as Trump's own supporters have criticized the DOJ for not releasing its files on Jeffrey Epstein. The judge, however, making clear he's keeping those traditionally secret transcripts under wraps, not because they're too sensitive, but because they don't reveal anything new. Quote, the government's entire premise that the Maxwell grand jury materials would bring to light meaningful new information about Epstein and Maxwell's crimes, or the government's investigation into them, is demonstrably false. Judge Paul Engelmeyer added this, quote, a member of the public appreciating that the Maxwell grand jury materials do not contribute anything to public knowledge might conclude that the government's motion for their unsealing was aimed not at transparency, but at diversion, aimed not at full disclosure, but at the illusion of such. Let's get straight to our legal and political sources. Ellie Honig, former federal prosecutor, and Zolan Cano-Young, White House correspondent for the New York Times. Lovely to see both of you this evening. Ellie, let me start with you here. I mean, this judge, very direct, very straightforward, rather scathing in his assessment here, basically saying, I'm not going to put out this thing that's traditionally secret and break this norm because you're not going to learn anything from it that you don't already know.
Exactly. The judge cuts right through the fog here, gets right to the point, and calls out DOJ explicitly in that excerpt you just showed us, Casey. The judge says basically this is all about appearances. This is about the illusion of transparency, not actual transparency. And let me explain why that's all legally relevant. Because ordinarily, grand jury materials are secret. That's the very essence of the grand jury. There is a rule that allows a judge to unseal grand jury records, but only in very narrow circumstances that do not apply here. And so DOJ argued to this judge, well, judge, there's this great need to know, and we are proponents of transparency. And the judge then looked at the grand jury transcripts and said, this is already out in the public. This is mostly...
Yes, Ryan, tell them. Like and subscribe. Let's get the likes up, everyone. Can you please double tap the screen? And thank you. Let's get the likes up, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like and subscribe. Thank you.
In the indictments that we've all seen, in the trial evidence that we saw against Ghislaine Maxwell. And so the judge really calls out DOJ. And by the way, I know this judge, and this is uncharacteristic. I mean, this is to be a bomb thrower, but he did here.
Wait, say more, Ellie. What else do you know? How else would you characterize this judge for us?
He's careful. He's moderate. He's modest. He has a deep background in the law. You know, there are some judges, Casey, that are more likely to say dramatic things or to issue sort of sharp rulings. I would say this judge, Paul Engelmeyer, is not among them. So it really caught my attention that he came out so strong in this opinion.
Really fascinating. And Zolan, the politics of this, right? I mean, we spent a lot of today talking about diversion. Certainly some people have suggested that what the president did today on D was diversion from exactly this, the Ghislaine Maxwell situation. But talk about how their requests for this grand jury material fit in, considering that they have so much at their own disposal that they could simply decide to put out there that they don't have to ask the judge for.
Right. Well, we know just, looking at this, the judge's writing today, we know that this isn't just about a criminal investigation here, that there are politics at play as well, and a political crisis to also tame when it comes to the administration. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I would tell you, based off of what I was hearing from officials in the White House, that they were hoping this would just go away. They were hoping that the far-right flank of the MAGA wing would stop asking about this, that they would stop facing questions about it, and that it would go away. It hasn't, right? So now you need a way where you can almost appease that flank that is watching this. And by the way, was watching the words of the President's Attorney General as well, who rose expectations for this, was watching the words of many people around the President who during the campaign stoked the flames of this and rose expectations. Now you're looking for a way to appease them. Well, this is a Justice Department action here. You can point to the Justice Department while creating some distance and say, well, we're trying here. You can point to the President's lawyer who is going to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell's attorneys as well and say that there's an attempt there. All the while, you're still not keeping the spotlight slightly off of the President and the White House. It seems to be the thinking here for the White House, but have the Justice Department go through this bureaucratic action, something you can point to say there's an effort being made. But all the while, we've seen that has not calmed or quieted these questions from his own supporters.
Don't forget to subscribe, you guys. There's about 197 in the building. If I can please get 197 people to hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 50K by next month. Let's continue to get the likes up. 50 people, please double tap the screen. Please double tap the screen, hit the thumbs up above the video, below the video.
That's what makes this a real political crisis here, that the heat is coming from his own political supporters. We haven't seen that they've been able to tame that pressure yet.
Yeah, and I mean, Ellie Honig, where could we learn more that's new, that we don't know about Jeffrey Epstein? Where is it?
It's in DOJ. I mean, if they wanted to give us everything but grand jury materials, they could absolutely do that. And look, as Zolan just pointed out, like this is something that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and the president and vice president all came blazing into office, promising to throw open the files. They can do it if they want. I should note, by the way, though, that's not the way business is ordinarily done. I mean, those promises they were making were wild. They were out of step with DOJ policy. What I think DOJ should have done from the start here is just say, sorry, folks, we don't crack open our investigative files just because people are curious. If there's a subpoena, we'll deal with it. If there's a Freedom of Information Act request, we'll deal with it. But instead, they went down this road of promising and guaranteeing that our socks would be blown off by all this. And then when they had to slam on the brakes, that's how it rebounded against them politically, as Zolan was just laying out.
All right, Ellie Honig, Zolan Cano-Young, always great to see you both. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There's a new deal at Tim Hortons. Get a $3.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. What do you guys think about everything that's going on with Maxwell? Thanks for being here. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Talking about let's talk about it is starting some stuff. This is all in the news. If you're not paying attention to the news, that's on you. These clips are from the news. You got to pay attention to the news. It is what it is. I didn't make these decisions. I'm not these people. I don't know these people. If they make bad decisions, it needs to be told. It needs to be told. These are their decisions. Many people are surprised that she was relocated to a different location and allegedly she gets work release. Excuse me, what? Very interesting. Very interesting. There's about 183 in the building. If all 183 hit subscribe, today will be an amazing day in regards to subscribers. Thanks for being here, everyone. Focus on healthy, safe relationships. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful. I hope all of you have a great day. Do you think they're going to release any information? Or do you think everything's going to keep being pushed under the rug? And do you think it'll be distraction, and more distractions? Let me know in the comments. Do you feel that everything has been handled properly? Let me know in the comments. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Are you guys surprised that she was moved to a minimum security and she has work release? Where they do that at? What countries do that? What is going on? What is going on? Let me know in the comments, y'all. How y'all feel about everything in regards to what's going on? What is going on? Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Okay, you guys, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. This is my second live for today. I thank you all for being here, and I thank you all for supporting the channel. Super chats are welcome, $5, $10. We do have memberships over there. You can hit the membership button. So if you want me to notice your comments more, memberships are definitely over there. A lot of times I normally interact with the members, and sometimes I'll start doing specialized videos for you guys once I'm getting more memberships over there. So thanks for being here. Have a great day, everyone. Be blessed. Goodbye. Thanks for being here, and thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21.